guess that looks good. Find out. I'm down to almost having the holes drilled for this nasty dirty plate right here that I made, which is going to solidly connect the base of the mast. Excuse me. It's probably in it still. The base of the mast to the keel bolts. These keel bolts are like 7/8 thickness on them. They're pretty big. But there's some fractures in the matrix from a grounding, although no leaks or anything of that nature. This is going to supplement the matrix where it got damaged and also provide a solid connection between the mast and the keel so that there could be no flexing between the two. It would, under any conditions, really. Basically, this should be enough of a repair that I can't foresee why it wouldn't be sufficient. I'm gonna go sail it anyway and find out. So get that off of there. Spin that around. Let's see. Here. That's a dark shadow. Okay. Here. Where am I at? Ah, there I am. Okay. Is this thing zoomed in or something? What's going on? Okay, it's not zoomed in. Okay, so yes. There is where the keel, which is directly, these bolts go right into it, and it's 4,000 pounds of lead antimony. They grounded it, it's a 10,000 pound boat, and the keel pushed up into the foot of the mast, and this is the matrix between the two. It's not really a huge amount of matrix really, but all these sideboards, and it crunched it right there. It crunched it a little on the other side, and it also, the keel pushed up, it even flexed it back to here, which is, there's the last bolt in the keel. It's about what, 4.5 feet, 5 feet long. And so, as the boat came originally, the support structure between the two was just these, actually, just these two, really. These two right here between the keel and the mast. Or excuse me, the mast bolts onto here, which is in the supports, and the keel bolts underneath, which is in the bottom of the boat, which is heavily reinforced on this. It's a racing model, so it's got a little extra layers of fiberglass and resin in there to make it tougher. Otherwise, it probably wouldn't have survived it. And that water is rainwater that's in there. Came down the mast. I'm still working on that. But, so, originally, the keel bolts to the boat, the mast bolts to the bolt. The thing in between the two is the boat, which is, this is the supports. Since it's been compromised at that support, I have plates for the front and the back that are going to have the keel bolts holding down tightly on that, and the mast base bolts holding tightly down on that, which will effectively take all the load that would even go to these off of these, and they're still intact, and except that one's been, got the worst of it. The other two, or this one and the other things, are not that bad. But when you're under hard wind sailing, the keel is almost sideways, and it's hanging off of the matrix. That's 4,000 or 5,000 pounds, although the water's rushing under it and helping lift it, so it's not quite the full dead weight as if it was sideways, but there's a lot of forces going on, is what I'm saying, between the sail and the keel. And before, all those forces were being imparted into this part of the boat, and that was sufficient. So if that was sufficient, then after this damage, this should be more than sufficient, in my non-expert opinion, but fairly experienced position in terms of strengths of materials and fabrication techniques and force vectors and that sort of stuff. It seems like it's pretty solid to me, even though I'm not a sailboat expert. I'm a mechanical semi-expert. I'll say that. Not an expert, but here and there I got my moments. So anyway, that's what's going on. That's what's going on. See, fixing the matrix. Okay, bye-bye. I think. Maybe.